Well, hello, folks. So, what I have here is some really old footage. It's from 2015, 2016, and I've kind of compiled some footage from several videos that my son took when he was quite young. And what it shows is my yard before any major conversions had started to take place. So at this stage, I had started to allow weeds to creep into my garden to start killing the grass. So a few years prior to this, my yard was very much so like a golf course. It was monocropped. Well, actually, it wasn't monocropped. I actually had 4 different species of grasses, all non-native grass. Actually, that's not even entirely true. One of those species was native. It was buffalo grass. And actually, the buffalo grass is on this section. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's on this section along this back line here, along this fence, is where the buffalo grass is. But the rest of the yard was non-native grasses, and the reason why I had different species was so I could get a solid grass lawn in areas that were more shaded, for instance. So I used a different species of grass that was shade tolerant. But like I said, at this stage, I started to let that go and allow weeds to come in because I knew I wanted to convert the yard. I wanted to get rid of the grass. I had done a couple little changes. Like in this picture, you can see a couple of American plums. The only 2 I have left actually after the drought this year. And I think you may see a pile of wood chips in the background. And the only other thing I want to mention is that this video is probably going to be hard to watch. It's very, very shaky cam type video. My neighbor had some puppies in his backyard, and so my son kept going out there to videotape the puppies through the fence. And so I kind of got this footage kind of inadvertently. So, please bear with me. I'll do my best to pause it so that way when I'm talking, it'll be still frame. But let's get into this. So, what you're looking at right now, and like I said, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but what I'm circling here is an area that would be currently considered the undeveloped yard. There's no actual official garden beds. The soil's not completely converted in this section. So I can't really grow domesticated crops too easily there. So I call that undeveloped. And now moving back, you see my mouse. Along this back line is my backline garden bed. I have a video on that. And you can see there's absolutely nothing there. So let's try to skip through this frame by frame. But all right, so now he's walking back to those puppies. All right, so I'll try to get rid of the blur here. That's about as good as it's going to get. So what we're looking at, what we're heading towards, is I'm just going to hit play. That right there, this section here, is my current tomato bed. And on the other side of it, right there, where my mouse cursor is, I have some blackberries. All of this is all technically part of the back line, but I break out the tomato bed in a separate video. All right, let's continue. I think I'll pause it one more time. You see this ash juniper tree up here in the corner where my mouse is moving? That is a female ash juniper, and I have a video on tree trimming that. All right, so here we go. This is a good video. Sorry for pausing it in a blurry spot, but I'll let's see here if we can go back. All right, that's too far. Past this. There we go. So what I want to show you here is there's a pile of limbs, and you can see the entire backyard. It's just grass. If I got a video on the backyard and garden bed, so you can see how much it's changed. But basically, all the way up to this septic here, it's all been converted. On the other side of this pile of wood chips, you can see on the other side of this these hay bales that are stacked. I have my root crop garden bed, and that's always been there. So let's continue. And he's just going to walk back to the fence. So we're going to see the same garden beds, the tomato bed that we've seen before. And it may look like looping footage here, but actually it's just another video, and he just keeps walking back there to look at the puppies. So here we go. You can get a good shot of the canopy on the female tree. So you can see above this fence right here, you can see a power line. And you can actually see a couple more above it. You can see how a lot of the limbs for this tree were growing in that direction. So most of all those have been cut. So you can watch my video if you care to see the difference that I have on this tree. It's my most recent tree trimming video. But this is the tree in that video, and this is before I had done any type of trimming. And we're going to go back to that back line again. All right. So we're getting a little better shot here of the backyard and the tomato bed. Here to the left is the tomato bed, and where my mouse cursor is kind of hovering over here is that root crop garden bed. To the left is the dormant garlic bed that I did a video on recently, and to the left of that is my wild onion, one of the wild onion beds. But you can see this backyard, and you can see the weeds creeping in. I'm allowing dandelions and whatnot. We're just getting a nice little shot of that tomato bed. Some of the backline, there's asparagus here on the left. All right, so what we see here, I'm going to maybe go back a little bit. So right where my cursor is, where this tree is in frame, is to the left of that is what I call the side yard garden bed. Most of this area is so shaded that I'll probably will never be able to have like any garden beds up in there. But to the left of it, I do get a little bit more sun, and we may get a shot of that, but I just want to explain what we're looking at. And to the right, in front of my storage shed, is the undeveloped yard. So you can see what that looks like. There we go. So this is the undeveloped yard. I don't know if you can see if it looks any different. It's probably not going to look a ton different because it's undeveloped. There's no real garden beds there yet, but there are a few more crops here. I have some chickasaws, elderberry up in here. So there's a little bit of development going on. I think we're coming to the end of the video here. Here's my chickens. I miss my chickens. I got rid of them so I could get into quail. I think it'd be a lot more compact. See if we can get a front shot of the undeveloped yard. Over here by the fence is where I stage a lot of my pots at different times of the year. And this large tree you see in frame, just behind it, several feet, I'm trimming that tree down. And I'll be doing a video on that soon. Actually, I need to trim that this winter. But it's going to allow a ton more light to come in all this area you see my mouse. So I'll be able to have a thin garden bed here. And we're going to make our way to the front yard, and you can see it actually behind the chicken. That's my favorite chicken. Right there. This section right here is the front yard garden bed, and you only see it for a second, but to the left, you see this large shrub. It's now dead, but this was a very large, very old rosemary bush that I had in the yard that died recently. And that's about, I think, all you're going to get. And then, so like I mentioned, to the left is the side yard. So this is another angle on my side yard, and you can actually see the section where my mouse is. Behind this white chair is where the actual side yard garden bed is. And you can see there's nothing there now. We're just getting a shot of a skunk here. Okay, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed seeing the retro look at my yard. So you can see how different it is if you haven't had a chance to look at my update video from the summer. I've done an update video on every single one of the garden beds and sections of my yard that I mentioned here. So please have a look at that, and you can see how different it is. I know I thoroughly enjoy looking at the differences, and I didn't really realize how different it was until I went back and looked. So, okay, folks, I hope you all have a good one.